Hey guys, welcome back to Sweet Talk. I'm your host, KP. And before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to hop on here really quick to say how important my faith in Christ is to me. And when I came to want to do this, I wanted to have some way of incorporating that into my podcast. So, what better way than to bring on some clients who didn't mind sharing their testimonies about how anything that happened in their life, because it has not only brought them through whatever situation it is, but I hope that it will also inspire and motivate other people to just see how God works in our lives. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this next episode. Welcome to Sweet Talk. I'm your host, KP. Thank you for tuning in. And today's episode is going to be a client testimonial with my lovely client here, Demayah. She has been a client. I think you came in when you was in high school, right?
Yes,
So,
I came when I was in a pageant.
Oh my gosh. So we ain't gonna tell our age, but
Yeah.
it was a while ago.
Yes.
So she's been my client since then, since high school. And over time, I've just been able to see you blossom and just be able to like do everything you do. And so I know the last time you came, you was sharing your testimony about you going to PT school. And I was just like, y'all, it really, really, really like moved me because it just encouraged me and gave me faith to fast and pray, even though we do all those things normally, but like, we get weary on our journey and sometimes we just, trying to ask God to do stuff and we ain't doing our part.
Yes.
So
for sure.
That really moved me. So tell me a little bit about what led you to go to PT school.
Okay, so and also it's PTA.
PTA school. Okay, yeah. Get it right, girl.
It's funny because some people forget to add the A on the end. But anyway, because there is a difference, between a physical therapist and physical therapist assistant. I'm a physical therapist assistant.
Okay.
But anyway, what led me to to want to be a physical therapist assistant? I'll start by saying this. In high school, it was really senior year of high school, I did an internship at Redmond.
Okay.
And at that time, I thought I wanted to be a nurse.
Yeah.
I just knew that I wanted to go into the medical field and I knew I wanted to do something with helping people. But during that time of doing that internship, senior year of high school, I was at Redmond and one day I was with the nurse that I was shadowing with or whatnot. And she was starting an IV on a patient. And I guess I had locked my legs. I was just locked in. I was just staring at her put that needle in the patient's arm. And that took me out. I remember basically I like passed out.
Oh, wow.
Thankfully not in the patient's room, but I had got real lightheaded.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was just like, oh Lord. And thankfully I spoke up because I was still a little shy.
Yeah.
But I spoke up and I forgot her name, but I was like, I'm feeling lightheaded or whatnot. And so she walked with me back to the nurse's station. Long story short, I was just like, okay, maybe nursing is not it, because I'm gonna have to deal with needles and blood and all the other things that nurses have to do. Mm-hmm. So after going to college, I went to undergrad at University of West Georgia. I initially was majoring in biology. Why? I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, that's how we do. Yes. We just kind of be winging it. Yes. Like we figuring it out.
Literally. And so after that first semester, I changed my major to psychology. Mm-hmm. And during that time, like I said, I was still figuring out what I wanted to do. But then I thought I wanted to be occupational therapist, OT. Mm-hmm. I was just like, nothing against them, but I just felt like they do a lot, and a lot meaning like a lot with, the fine motor skills, like dressing, bathing patients, that type of thing. And I didn't want to do that on an everyday basis.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I was like, okay, physical therapy. So I did some research. So at that time I was working in undergrad, working at the hospital, and I was able to meet physical therapists that were working at the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I remember asking, and I was like, how, basically, who do I talk to? What can I do to become a physical therapist tech? As time went on, got that lined up, and I became a physical therapist, physical therapist rehab tech. That's the title. Mm-hmm. And so I did that for 2 years in undergrad. And just to fast forward, as time went on and close to me graduating from University of West Georgia, I actually stayed an extra year at University of West Georgia just to take my prereqs to get into the physical therapist assistant program. So I had made up my mind then as I was a rehab tech, like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
So that's why I stayed that extra year there, took those prereqs. And then from there, at that time too, I was doing a lot of journaling. I was basically just writing down my day, my thoughts, and also ending it with a prayer, writing out a prayer to God. And in my prayers, I was just asking God to deliver me, to bless me. Like, I really want to get in a PTA school. Like, I'm ready to be in my career.
Yeah.
As time went on, that was also the time or summer that I had moved back home here in Rome. In that June, and I was actually at work that day, but that's when I got my acceptance letter.
Okay.
So, that was an amazing feeling. Got accepted there, so I got accepted to Atlanta Tech. That's a 2-year program for the physical therapist assistant. I'm just going to fast forward to, towards the end of graduation and whatnot. And I will say too, even during my time of being in the program, I was also working as a physical therapist tech as well. Here at Floyd. And so finished the program in May of last year, May 2024. This, though, is when, things got deep. It got serious. Yes. I mean, the entire program was deep. It was serious. But, graduation's here. And now it's like, okay, you got to lock in. It's time to study. Because I had signed up to take my exam in July.
Okay.
So, one thing about life and God, one thing about life and God, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We can make all these plans for ourselves, but one thing about God,
and that is
going to happen,
That is actually a scripture too. And I go by that a lot. Like, the plans, we will make the plans, but God, he'll lead the way.
Yes.
So we can make all these plans and try to do all these things, but if it ain't in his will, it's just like you wasting time. We building in vain.
Yes. And so I had graduation May 4th. And my exam was July the 2nd, I believe. So also in the month of May is my birthday. And I love my birthday. My birthday is everything to me.
Yeah.
So the night before my birthday, which was May 26th, I received a phone call from my mom. It was maybe at like 11 or something that night. Now, mind you, I'm thinking my mom called me to tell me happy birthday because, she wasn't staying up to 12. She was like, I'm thinking, she's going to say, oh, my, well, I'm about to go to sleep. I'm not going to be up at 12. I'm just telling you happy birthday. So I had called her back because the thing is, she had called and hung up. And I was like, well, what's going on? So I called her back. And when I called her back, you just have to know my mom, her soft voice. She was like, oh, well, hey, I didn't mean to call you. I was like, oh, okay. Well, what are you doing? Mind you, I didn't think to look at my mom's location because it's 11 something at night. I'm just assuming she's home. She's like, well, we're at the hospital. And I'm like, okay, like, what's going on? And she's like, well, it's your dad. And I was just like, okay. Because anybody that knows Demayah Spivey,
y'all gotta know. This girl is a daddy's girl. Daddy's
girl. Carlos. Okay. That is my dog. Okay. But yes, daddy's girl. And so I was like, what's going on? Just to fast forward a little, my dad was diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma, kidney cancer. Okay. He had a mass in... I didn't get permission to share this. Yes. Okay, we're going to talk about it. Because God has... He's, made it through. But basically, he had a mass growing on his kidney. Wow. And I can't remember what size they said it was, but it was almost the size of his kidney. Oh my gosh. So, that was definitely a turn, for my birthday. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, of course, it wasn't a matter of, my dad ruined my birthday. Because he had no control of that. I'm just focused on him. Like, are you okay? Right. But anyway, what I'm getting at is, as time went on, thankfully, he was able to schedule the surgery and whatnot, where the doctor was. But of course, anytime you hear the word cancer, you just never know what's next. Right. We didn't know what stage it was. We didn't know anything about it other than he had it. they needed to do what it took to remove it, the surgery and whatnot. So thankfully his surgery was scheduled June the 5th, I believe. Yeah, June the 5th. Mind you, like I said, I had scheduled to take the exam July the 2nd.
Okay.
So of course, anyone, you're going to be studying from the time graduation up through then.
Yeah.
I was not focused whatsoever. Yeah. My focus was on Carlos.
Right. Rightfully so.
Yes. Yeah. Was I taking the time that I should have to study? No, not at all. But when that time came in July for me to take that exam, I went ahead and took it. I was just like, God, it's in your hands. Yeah. So took that test July 2nd. We had to wait 7 days to get our results, which is the most traumatizing thing.
Yeah.
You're just having to wait and wait and wait. And then at that time, it's the holiday, 4th of July. Okay, you wait.
Extra time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was 7 days felt like 14. So anyway, the thing is, during that time, it's like I just felt it. Even that day when I walked out of the testing center, I was just like, you know what? I don't think I had it. Yeah. I don't think I made it.
Really? Yeah.
From knowing, that, well, I was distracted. I had a lot going on during that time. And, I just wasn't focused. Yeah. But I was still leaving it in God's hands. Like, okay, well, yeah, there's a possibility I could pass. But also I was just like, I don't know about this. So anyway, received those results. I was definitely down. I didn't pass the first time.
Okay.
I was definitely down, but also I was just like, well, you wasn't there.
You had a lot going on.
I had a lot going on, and I knew I wasn't focused.
Right.
So during that time, I was just like, okay, like, you got to lock in.
Yeah.
You have to lock in. Like, no more distractions, no more nothing. Like, you want this, go after it.
Yeah.
So with those exams, they're offered every 3 months, I believe. So the next time to take it was in October. So just to fast forward a little more, during that time, I also switched like platforms as far as what I was using to study.
Okay.
Initially, I was using a book, but then I switched to a different platform, which if you're going to PTA school, I advise you to use Final Frontier because it is amazing.
Okay.
It's basically like live recorded lectures.
Oh, nice.
And when I tell you they go over everything, is everything. Mind you, still during this time, I'm still working. At the time, I'm still working as a rehab tech. But so as time got closer to October, I think October 9th was this testing date. I was like, you know what? Like, I think I'm going to do a fast.
Yeah.
Now, have I done a fast before? No.
I was about to ask. I was about to say, before all of this, what was your like kind of walk with Christ? Because I know, and just like learning about fasting and how that does for you. Like, what was that like before you had that feeling like I probably need to fast?
So initially, like my walk with Christ, outside of journaling and things, like, of course, going to services and things. There's this church, Change Church. I love Change Church. Pastor Darius Daniels. I began attending that church as well. So honestly, I will say going to that church is what led me to want to fast.
Okay.
Between that and then also my cousin, who is the closest to me, my cousin Talia. She's also who inspired me to fast. So yeah, that's what led me to do that.
Okay, yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, before, had I done that before? No. Did I even know what it was like? No. But I wanted to experience that, and also for it to be a way for me to just connect with God on a different level.
Right.
I wanted that experience. And so I initially started the fast, I think it was 2 weeks before my testing date. I won't say, well, I don't mind. I was about to say, I won't say exactly what I fasted from, but basically it was two things that I felt distracted me the most. One being social media, and my other was cravings. It was random, but I am a sweets person. I love sweets. But I was just like, I don't need this in my life. Like, let me see if I can do without this because I don't need it. And let me see what God reveals, what God does for me, And so I did that for those 2 weeks. And I told myself that once I walked out of that testing center that day, October 9th, that my fast would be over. That's what I told myself. Now, during that time, God, he tests you. He tests you. And I also, before I get there, I will say too, shout out to my mom because she also did the fast with me. Okay. Because she was like, I want this for you. Like, you know what? I know you want this badly, but I also want this for you. Right. And she did the fast with me. And so she literally brought this up even before I even came here today. She was like, that verse, and I'll read it to you guys. It's Matthew 18:19 through 20, but it's, again, truly I tell you that if two of you on earth agree about anything they ask for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them. Yes. So she's I was like, thinking that where 2 or 3 agree. Yes. And so I was just like, you know what, Mama? It's like, you're right. You're right. And so back to what I was saying, God will test you. So during that fast, I told myself, because I literally studied up until that testing day, the night before the test. I said, some people, they stop studying that week before, but I mean, everybody's different. But no, I studied up through that night before the test. And so during that time, I said that, I wasn't going anywhere. Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I could go to church, or I could go out with this friend, do this, that, and the third. I'm not doing anything. Yes. And so I shared this story with my cousin too, because during that time, she asked me to go out with her twice. Not like anywhere, like party or anything. And it's funny because it was actually 2 places that was, like for God, basically. One was church. Yeah. She invited me to church one Sunday. And then the second place, she invited me to a gospel concert. Okay. And I was just like, okay, God, like, I know I said I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to do anything. But, like, I really want to go to church. I would love to go to this gospel concert because I haven't seen these artists, in concert before. But then I was like, no, like, don't get distracted. Yeah. Like, no, you lock in. You said you weren't going to do anything. Just lock in and just trust that God is he's going to, bring you through this. Right. But stick to your word. Don't go anywhere. Yeah. So I hated to turn her down. Yeah. I did, but I was just like, no, like, Maya, you got to study. Yeah. Just keep studying. And so that time came for the day of me to take the test. But mind you, I said initially that when that day comes, that's when my fast is going to end. But something told me, I was just like, no, like, not yet. Yeah. Not yet. Go that next week until your results are released. And I was just like, okay, like, I can do this. So I added another week on to my fast. And so during that time, of course, I'm still praying and things. But I also have like affirmations on my phone. And so during that time, God was just speaking to me, and which I asked him to too. Yeah. But I just wanted him to basically give me signs to know that everything is about to, he got me. Everything's about to work out for my good, you know? And so during that time, and mind you, like, I would screenshot things like all throughout before this fast and whatnot that I felt spoke to me that was leading up to this moment. This one, which I should have said before, but it says sometimes you got to admit you got distracted and ask God to place you back on course. Oh, wow. So I'm just like, okay, like, wow, this is speaking to me. Just throw them a little subtle. Yes. It's always like that. The next one is, though God is sometimes silent, he is never absent. And then the next one was, God has a plan for you. And that was actually in the month of September. And also during my time of studying, using that platform, Final Frontier, they would have like little intermission moments throughout the lecture, just someone to come on the screen and basically like motivate us, like, and say, I will pass, you will pass and whatnot. And just giving like motivational, encouragement, motivational messages.
Yeah.
And I remember taking this picture. They had posted on the screen like how your screen will look at the when your scores are released, and it'll say pass. And so I took that picture because I'm like, I will have that one day.
Yes.
Like I will have that after this test.
Yeah.
And so, mind you, like I said, I have the affirmations on my phone, and this is literally the day before my test. This is Tuesday, October 8th. My test was October 9th. One of my affirmations that came on my phone is, "It's my time."
Wow.
And it literally, it gives me chills. It always brings tears in my eyes, because I'm like, okay, God, like, I'm going to leave it in your hands.
Yes.
And literally, so that was at 5:48 p.m. that night. Mind you, I said I was studying up until the night before the test. And so I had to tell myself to stop. Like, it's okay.
Yes.
All you can just give it to God.
Right.
Like, don't stress yourself out. It's literally the night before the test. And so, mind you, took the test October 9th, had to wait some days up until those scores were released. So October 13th, I received a notification, because I also, from the Bible app. And that verse for this day was Jeremiah 29:11. Yes, I, the Lord, tell you this: I have decided what I will do for you. I have plans to help you to do well. I do not want to hurt you. I want to give you hope for a good life in the future.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay, God.
That just like, that be the thing. You just, his word to me is so comforting.
Yes.
When we get so like, oh my God, like we ask God and we trying to do, and he's like just chill, like be still.
Be still. And that, oh gosh, that right there too, be still, because that's literally what I was between telling myself and also my friends through, everybody going through things, I'm just like, just be still, trust God. And I'm like, wait, I need to practice what I preach, like, be still, trust God.
Yeah.
But yes.
Wow.
Yes. And so that was October 13th. So the scores, I was initially waiting for them to release that Thursday of that following week, but they actually released that Wednesday night. This was October the 16th. And y'all, it was the most, it's hard to even describe that moment. Like, the way I felt my heart beating out my chest as I logged into my account.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can just imagine the pressure.
And so I'm slowly scrolling down on I think I initially logged in on my phone before I logged in on my laptop. But logged in, scrolled down slow. Now, mind you, during this time, my mama, she was in the shower. Dad, he hadn't got home yet. But I think he was on his way, because by the time I scrolled down and it said pass.
Oh.
Y'all, like, oh my goodness. It was like everything just released.
Yes.
Like, I really can't even find words. I really, really can't. But I didn't run and go tell my mama in that moment, because mind you, she was in the shower.
Right.
And it's something about parents in the age group of 50 and up. They're fragile. They will fall. I didn't want my mama falling in the shower, her getting excited and things. So I was just like, I'm gonna just wait until she get out.
Yeah.
I know we both about to be hollering, screaming, jumping. And so during that time, I heard the door open and my dad was coming in. I've never flew down some steps so fast. And I ran to him, and I was bawling, like bawling, crying. And I fell to my knees, and he fell to my knees with me. And like, it was just such the words really can't even describe that moment, know. But he was like, "Did you pass it? You passed it." I couldn't even get it out. But oh my gosh, it was the most amazing feeling.
And it just show you how faithful God is when we like sacrifice.
Yes.
And be like, okay, I'm not gonna eat these sweets that I really want.
Oh my gosh. And it was so hard, because as I was, going to work, working in healthcare, you got people baking things, people bringing things. And then what's popular here is sweet bar, donuts every week. I'm just like, oh, I don't need this. I don't need this. I'm not eating that, you know. But
So anytime, I know that, going through that time and going through that, like the time of making sure you pass, making sure you do your work. Was there any time that you felt tested by the enemy, or you felt doubt, or you felt like...
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how did you like overcome in them times where, you know how he do, like he get in, you ain't gonna pass. Like you doing all this studying and you fasting, you ain't gonna do, like he be in our head like that.
Yeah.
So how did you overcome them thoughts?
Yes, and let me add in too, because you know, like the enemy or people, and not that even, because honestly, everybody didn't know. Like,
right.
Even my own friends, they didn't. No one knew that Maya didn't pass until I told them that I did, which was in October. They thought I was just waiting on my license to come in, which I will say that does take a while with the state boards. But no one knew. But what I'm getting at is, like, you know, when I would go into work, there were some between like patients or not necessarily other therapists, but you know how people would talk, well, you know, like, well, it's okay, you know, like even if you don't pass it this time, you know, there's another time. But in my head, I'm like, no,
I'm not
this is it. Like, no, like I'm not gonna allow you to tell me that. Like, I'm not listening to that. You know, so times like that, I was just like, you know what, like I rebuked that. Even with my own parents, I mean, of course, you know, they're being positive and whatnot, but just also saying like, it's okay if you don't pass it this time. But I'm like, no. You know, like, this is it. We're done.
I don't went to God about it. So
that, you know, so between me, you know, turning down all negativity and also just reverting back to God, like, no, like, keep the faith. Keep the faith. All you need is faith the size of a mustard seed. Keep the faith. So that was really what I continued to feed into me. And I forgot to add, there is this one therapist that I was working with. Mind you, I had told God to speak to me during this time, you know, as I was waiting on my results. But mind you, I'm reminding myself, keep the faith, keep the faith. And I remember being at work one day, and the therapist, he was like, oh, you got this, Maya. Like, I have faith in you. And I was just like, faith. Like, you know, just that one word, just like faith. You know, because like I said, I'm going to continue to tell God, even if it's other people speaking to me, through, you know, through God, I'm just like, okay, wow. Like, okay, he said this. Like, okay, he has faith in me. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. So just continue to feed myself that, you know, positivity and things. That's and ignore the negativity.
Yes, you have to. You have to. And it's got you where you are now. So now that you passed your test and everything, what is your plans for moving forward, and how have you like incorporated God into that time, even after he's shown you like who he is?
Yes. For one, I will say, like, as far as what's next for me, the thing with, for one, the medical field in general, but like with physical therapy, you know, you can get certified in different things. Like, things I'm interested in is lymphedema certification, pelvic floor physical therapy, what's another, vestibular, which is like deals with vertigo and things, your balance, things like that. So even Parkinson's. I've really grown to like working with Parkinson's patients.
Oh wow!
But between, you know, looking into different certifications, and I really don't know what's next, because mind you, it's month 4 from me even receiving my license, and I'm trying to give myself grace too.
Yes,
because it's just like, okay, Maya, you're just getting started. Like, I know you want to do all these things, you know, and I do, and I did say too, like this year, like I want to travel more, you know, which, mind you, all praise to God, I've been able to take. I've been on 4 trips so far this year, and I mean, they've all been great.
That's good.
And so, of course, planning to continue traveling more, but I don't know. It's a possibility I may do travel physical therapy.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yes, it will. It would be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm figuring that out. Like I said, I'm just trying to give myself grace, because Rome is not my forever.
Yes.
It's home, but it's time.
Yeah. Now you over the hard part. Like, now you can like coast a little bit. And like you said, give yourself grace, because it's still new. You still like, you know, trying to figure it out. And see, I mean, it sounds like it's a wide range of things.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
that was just to name a few, but
yeah,
for sure. But you asked how have I continued to incorporate God? Of course, talking to Him every day. One thing that was new to me that I began doing, I'm not consistent with it because some days it's rough, long days. But was outside of writing to journal, I began like doing like a voice memo or like a video recording of like talking about my day. And also I told myself too, as well as to God, if He brought me through this, I will be sure to tell whoever my story, and be able to share the word of how good He is. And I have been able to do that with a few people too, because you don't realize how many other people have gone through what you have gone through, because it's hard. School is hard. Taking an exam is hard, especially when it's determining like, when you'll be in your career, so I've been able to speak to other people and share my story. Even that day of me coming to get my hair done with you, like just me being able to share how good He is in the word. So that's one thing I have truly enjoyed doing. It's just being able to share to others just how good He is, and for them to be still also and wait on Him.
Because I mean, if you think about it now, we coming up on graduation season for a lot of like teenagers, whether you graduate from high school, college, but they need to hear like, okay, so she didn't pass the first time. Like, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's not the end of the world. Like, you still had the faith to keep going and be like, you know what, I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm going to keep going. So like, it's good for people to hear that, because a lot of us get discouraged when stuff like that happen, and we just kind of like, this is it. That was it. This ain't meant for me.
Because honestly, I will say too, all honesty, I was like, okay, if I don't pass this time, I really don't know what I'm about to do with my life.
Right.
Because yes, I majored in psychology, but like, I mean, I will say my next option was, okay, go get a master's in psych. But even then, I still didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
I didn't want to do counseling. I don't want to be a social worker. Like, I didn't want to do none of that. And that, I mean, that's just to name a few. Like, no, I don't know all that. But that's the thing. I wasn't even looking into other careers and things of, what job you could do with the psych major, because I didn't care about that. I just knew I wanted to do something in the medical field, and something with physical therapy. So but no, it's not the end of the world.
It's not. And I appreciate you for sharing, coming on here to share it, and now that you've gone through it, now you're able to share it with people. And it really did bless me. Like, I've been telling people like, oh my God, one of my clients, like, that is one of the things I say, one of my clients. So I'm always excited to hear when I see people go through like these challenges really and just come out, and most importantly, how you went to God instead of like other things and trying to do it yourself. And you just like, God, you're gonna have to help me through this. And He saw your heart and how faithful you were to just give yourself to Him so that He can lead you to what you need to go into. So I appreciate you for coming today and sharing. And I really hope that and y'all hearing this, that it inspires y'all, that it encourages you as much as it encouraged me. And to anybody out there that is struggling right now with just wherever you are and feeling like, you don't really know what you want to do, I'm telling you, like, as you can see, fasting and praying works. Like, it gets you, it's not even about getting something from God, but just showing Him that, it don't even have to be for doing something, just being like, God, I'm a fast today because I feel so far away from you. It could be that simple. So I hope that encourages you guys, and thank you for tuning in to this client testimonial. I encourage you to go like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified for the next video. I'll see you next episode.